and what galvanized me to bring this information to the world was that our body is completely made of single cells, completely made of single cells. And these cells all operate together like in this seemingly magical way. I mean, heart cells know their heart cells and eye cells know their eye cells. And not only that, they all work together to allow me to talk and think and move, and as well as hundreds of autonomic processes in the background that are just happening without any conscious thought on my part. So just that alone, the fact that an adult human has between 37 and 150 trillion cells. So that's the first kind of huge aha that I had. And then I started asking, well, what's inside a cell? And that's when I encountered mitochondria. And mitochondria being these powerhouses which generate most of the energy in the body, and they are inside the cells. Now, the thing that blew me away, though, was that, most people, even if they've heard of mitochondria, they think, well, there's one cell, there's one mitochondria. But the scale of mitochondria is phenomenal. So on my back of my hand, I might have 1 to 200 mitochondria. In my heart, in a single cell, and in my heart, in a single cell, 5 to 8,000 mitochondria. In my brain, one single cell might have, a neuron might have 2 million mitochondria. So the number of these tiny powerhouses that are working all the time to generate all this energy that makes it possible for me to function is unbelievable. But then the final question that blew it up for me was, well, what fuels mitochondria? And it's two things: minerals and amino acids. The body makes a lot of amino acids. It makes no minerals. They all have to come out from the outside. And that knowledge alone made me go, well, no wonder I must have been so mineral deficient that I was unable to generate enough energy in my body. And my body was operating like a city in a brownout.
Yep.
And so it had to pick and choose which functions it was going to do. It was going to keep my heart pumping. It was going to keep my lungs going. It was going to keep some level of cognitive function going. It's going to keep my eyes working, the very important things. But it couldn't clear the inflammation. My hair, not so important, on and on,
Right.
So, and no one was talking about that. No one, in all of the years of all of the experts and practitioners and that I'd been to, had ever said even once to me, you might be mineral deficient.
And I think it's because we think of minerals as in isolation. And so we give minerals in isolation, right? We give a certain form of magnesium for this and a different form of magnesium for that. And we give zinc for this and we give iron for that. And I think that's where we get lost in it, is this idea of trace minerals, which I will tell you, there were a few classmates and a few professors in my program in naturopathic school who were way into trace minerals. And I thought they were nuts. This one guy was like, yeah, you just put a small amount under your tongue and hold it. It wasn't even about volume. It was about the fact that the trace minerals, he loved to do what he called drop dosing. I call it microdosing, but this is where I got my idea for microdosing GLP-1s, by the way. It was from this guy, because he taught me about drop dosing and I thought he was insane. He taught me that you could take tiny amounts of Prozac and have a completely different impact on the brain than you would if you took macro amounts. And so he taught me, and that's the way I practice now, which is crazy all these years later. But he was the guy that was all about the super low dose trace minerals. And I was like, how is there even anything in there? And then just the other day I saw there's some PhDs I follow on Instagram, and I love their content. They're like very super sciencey, and, but they don't always get it. Like they don't get the nuances. Right. And this guy was going on and on about minerals and how there just wasn't something about, he was like dissing trace minerals, saying there just simply wasn't enough there to have any impact on the body. Right. So like, let's talk about that, because there's something really magical when you get the symphony of minerals together and you don't like super dose just one in isolation.
So this is the thing I love to talk about this, because this can completely change people's paradigm of thinking about their body. So if you think about the body, let's just look at the gut. I mean, the whole body is an ecosystem. Your body is a natural ecosystem with all these microbiomes. Your mouth is a microbiome. Your gut is a microbiome. If you're a woman, your vagina is a microbiome. Okay, so each one of these microbiomes is an ecosystem unto itself. And our gut, as an example, has all these microflora and fungi and beneficial bacteria and all mycorrhiza, all sorts of different organisms and microflora. So I like to use the metaphor of a forest. So, like a forest, when your gut is in balance and healthy, and there's enough nutrients coming through and enough water, and everything's just happily going, it's like a forest that is lush, and there's things that are rotting on the forest floor that are delivering their nutrients back into the roots, and everything has what it needs. There's enough rain, even the air carries nutrients. Now go take a wheelbarrow of magnesium and throw it into the forest anywhere. And what is going to happen to those microorganisms and the plants in that area? They're not going to flourish. And so, this is the misunderstanding about minerals, particularly minerals, is that they are ecosystem tools. They do not work alone. They are meant to work in balance. Every single mineral of the 17 to 22, depending on who you talk to, that you need in your body operate in a particular natural ratio and balance with 1 to 10 other minerals. So, yes, you do need a lot of magnesium, but if you start throwing large amounts of magnesium into your gut on a regular basis, what your microbiome says, because it's an ecosystem, it says this is a concentration of magnesium. I need to eliminate a lot of this, which is why women often use it for elimination, because it will help you eliminate, because your body says, I've got too much and I need to get rid of it. The other thing that it does is it says, I need to balance this with phosphorus and calcium because there's too much of a concentration of magnesium here. I need to balance it with these two other things. And where does it get those? From other places in your body, from your bones.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example, some trainers that I work with of elite triathletes, they came to me because they're athletes who have been using large amounts of magnesium and potassium have developed osteopenia and osteoporosis because they've done it on a daily basis over long periods of time, and it has literally taken the phosphorus and calcium from their bones. So, what I say is scientists knew that mineral deficiency was going to be a problem because they looked at our soils and they said our soils are mineral deficient, our foods are going to be mineral deficient, and we're going to need to be putting minerals back into humans.